Okay, there we go. All right. Before I begin talking, I want to say that the S&P is not over. That's not what this video is about. Just loading in. There we go. Okay. I can't show anything in front of me. You can see Luigi's house a little bit over there. That's all you're getting. I just think it was due time to make a Coursion SMP video on the channel talking about the way things are because I know some of you see like the Twitter and everything, but not all of you do. And I want to like get everything out of the way first before I start talking. So yes, the microphone is ass. Stated a couple times that obviously I don't have my own computer set up. I either use my girlfriend's or Bill/Whisperwolf. So right now I'm at my girlfriend's, which means I do not have the mic that Whisperwolf lets me use. So I'm just using Bluetooth headphones, so I know it's going to sound a little like pretty trash. So I apologize. So try to bear with me. If you need to turn me down or anything. Um, Secondly, would be obviously the SP is not over. This is not like a ending the Coursion video. This is more of just like a talk, putting everything on the table. Now that a lot more is out in the open compared to the last time I was able to talk about Coursion. If you look at the channel, you'll notice there is no videos talking about the state of Coursion. There may be one or two, but it's because I take most of them down because things change so much in the time between those videos and now that like the videos then are just kind of invalid. Like the time I stepped down from Coursion, or I talked about why Coursion had new videos and stuff like that. So I want to make one video that just compiles everything you need to know, so you don't have to watch a million videos. And to do that, I'm just going to be honest now, because now it's like everything's out in the open, and it takes a weight off my chest because I can just talk. So let's talk. Obviously, there's been a lot of stuff evolving the S&P. If people don't know what I'm talking about, recently on Twitter, I think March 29th, one of the previous Coursion members and KKS members, Newt, released a Google Doc talking about a lot of the shit I've done over the years. And I did reach out to her, and we were very polite. We talked. I cleared up some things. Um, and it came down to like it was nice, or like it was she thought it was respectable of me to reach out and clarify the things that needed clarification, but also I didn't ask her to take it down, and I owned up to some of it, saying I did make some mistakes, and at the end of the day, uh, it went pretty good. And then obviously, if you don't know, you know now. Uh, Maddie hates Maddie Cakes, previous co-owner of Cake SP, or not, sorry, previous co-owner of Recursion SP and the owner of Cake SP. She tried to start more shit with me, like, because she was the one who had reached out to Newt to make the Google Doc. And I told Newt some stuff, and long story short, it came out about Maddie being a pedophile, which is true. We gave Newt all the proof we've had, and one of the members of Recursion SP was a victim. Not going to say who they are because I don't think they want that on them. But yeah, so it's been a lot of stuff, and obviously, if anyone else is in a situation, there was one more thing that surfaced around the times. I know Zora and Chuck, two previous members of Cake Incursion. Zora released a document about me too, which didn't reach out to him because I already tried reaching out to him back in January, and that's kind of why it boiled up to him releasing a doc. Um, Long story short, we were just assholes to each other, and different than Maddie because Maddie had a reason for being kicked from Coursion because the whole pedophile thing. Zora and Chuck, me, our situation was more of just either different feelings on both sides and, miscommunication and a lot of, just anger and stuff. I'm not excusing anything I did either. That's not what this video is. But it's more of just to talk about Coursion and the state of it and where it's been and where it's going. But with those, you know, accusation. What do you call it? I don't know. With everything floating in the air now, like everything's surface, everything's reached the surface, I can say more. So I'm making this video because now it's like I said, I can just pile everything into a big compilation right here, you know? So the real question is, where is Coursion? We made a video uh, not too long ago, maybe January, um, and it was obviously showing that we had more planned, and we do. We still are going to do Coursion. So for people who watched my videos, because you're here on my channel now, um, you'll notice that I, started making Coursion content, or not Coursion content, just content overall back in uh, November. I was using a Chromebook, and I was using an application called, or a subscription called Shadow PC that basically gave you like a computer on that you could run on a phone or Chromebook or something. And then I lost, the person who was paying for it wasn't able to pay for it, so I lost it. So when we made that Coursion video, it was when I was still paying for Shadow PC. So we were going to just keep making Coursion videos. I was going to record a video at Phil's that day, and Phil was going to record on my computer. But then the whole computer thing went south because obviously the person who was paying for it wasn't able to pay for it. Oh, let me just turn this music down. I want it on. There we go. Let me just check how loud that is compared to me. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Actually, I'll turn it down a little tiny bit more. Sorry about that. Alright, I don't know how it sounds. I'm going to turn up to 5 and just hope it sounds good. There we go. Okay. So we ran into the complication. I wasn't able to pay for it. Then we tried doing what I'd done before, and me and Phil had both done, is where we did the Xbox Geyser server things, but Geyser stopped working. But we found a fix for it now, but now the problem is like I don't really have a console to record it on, and if I do, I don't have Wi-Fi in the house because it's been a struggle in my house lately to pay for Wi-Fi. So usually I don't get to record unless I'm not home. So it's just a bunch of mess, and right now it's like I can't really make Coursion because I have so much real life stuff that's like stacking up. But I want to make Coursion, and I've talked to most of the members. Most of them are on board. I know when the idea was brought up of just ending Coursion, there was a few people who jumped the gun or were ready to go, or some people who did leave, but it was just an idea. Um, So, it's kind of taken us a bit now because we don't know who's still on or off board. Uh, when I say we, I say the people who are on board completely, like Vance, Roman, Luigi, Amber, Will. A lot of people still want to make Hershon, and a lot are kind of like in the middle ground. And I think because of everything that surfaced with Maddie, some people saw, how I was like, not perfect, never claimed to be, but people saw that like this, that like there was more to me than they knew. And then there was some people who saw that, with the whole Maddie thing, some people who didn't like me realized, oh shit, he's not, completely in the wrong. Like it became less of the world against Aiden or me, Jackal, or more of like Jackal's an asshole, but other people are too. Which I feel like that's the best analogy to put it. I don't think there's a good or bad guy in any story. I think there's assholes and then there's bigger assholes. And so it's been a little like rough to try to make content because I'm like, do these people still want to make Persian? But even if some people don't, that's kind of why we changed the narrative. I had an so obviously since about the end of season 1 of Coursion, maybe a little beforehand. Yeah, around the end of season 1 of Coursion, we started scripting episodes and started writing them, which is why less streams popped up and you'd see more videos of people's channels because we wanted to do more of a story because we realized SMP format is hard. and we don't have the time or resources to, make it like other people do. Which is why, a lot is switched to videos, and if anything, Coursion now is more of a role play than an SMP, which is, why Just Assassin changed the YouTube channel from Coursion SMP to Coursion, because Coursion's kind of evolved or devolved, whatever way you want to look at it, over time into a role play. And obviously, that wasn't our intent. It's very different from Cake, which is why I think people didn't like it so much. But I think some people need to realize, while Cake was fun, you know, it's different because this isn't Cake. This is like some people said, it's lazy that we took a lot of stuff from Cake, and this is like, Coursion is a sequel to Cake and shit like that. But Coursion's not Cake. It's a sequel, but it's a completely different thing. It's like when a company takes, yeah, look at the Matrix movies. You have like the first three, and then Matrix Four. Like Matrix One was good, and Two was okay. Three was horrible, but then Matrix Four came out and was even worse than all of them because they rebooted it. Now we're not a reboot, but it's like we're a soft reboot of what Cake was. And I guess a lot of people didn't like that because some people wanted a direct continuation of Cake and Sophie, and some people wanted something completely different. So I kind of went both ways. We had the characters from Cake, and they had memory issues, and then there was some people who weren't from Cake at all, and they were just from this world, which, the world is called, is called Fairview, or not Fairview, Coursion, and the residents here of Fairview. And yeah, I did recycle some of the plots from Cake, not the ones that, were there, some of the ones we were working on. So I know, like, Zora mentioned that in his doc, and I was like, yeah, it's true, but it was also because it was easy because we never got to use those plots in Cake because Cake ended prematurely. And people say, like, oh, I, like, peer pressured everyone to end Cake and shit like that. That's not really how it happened. The way it always happened is obviously, like Newt said in her doc, someone griefed the server and left swastikas and a lot of other stuff. And, I was like, Cakey's kind of in a shit show the last couple, days, weeks, because we took like a 20-day break because Maddie's channel got banned and she shut down the SMP and shit. And by the time we came back, it was like there was so much drama that had happened and like we had lost motivation for it. And I think like the last stream, I was just building a cave. There was something cool going on. Like we had all these story plans, but with all the drama, like the cast was always changing who was the main character and who wasn't or not. So I just kind of gave up. And when that guy griefed my base I had worked on, I was like, it was a creative base anyway, so it wasn't anything crazy. It was just like it was the home of all my friends. Like we made the base in creative, but we put all the items in there. So I was like, ah, this kind of sucks. I give up. So we ended, or I didn't end Cake. I left Cake, and I had people who were living in the base with me. So when I left, they left, and then when they left, people saw like six people leaving. So then people said, "Oh, okay, we're leaving too." So it just came down to like, one person left, and then two, and then three, and then four, then six, and then 10, and then 11, and then 12, and it just got to the point where like if Maddie had continued Cake, she would have had like five members beside herself. So she ended it. And I remember she was talking to us about it. She was kind of sad. I was like, Maddie, you can keep doing the SP if you want, but no one's gonna be here. So you're just gonna be, doing it with like six people, five people. And she's like, yeah, you're right. So let's just end it. And I was like, all right, I'm cool with that. So I made that video. The Cake SP is over. And then I thought that was it. I left with some of the people from Cake. I brought them back into my group, which was commonly known as like the Epic Group of Gamers, or some people call it a Jackals group if you're outside of the group. Inside the group, we call it the Epic Group of Gamers. Uh, it's like a Discord server group chat thing we've had since 2019. It really started on that YouTube. Um, you've seen the YouTube video that's up now. It's called Tour of My Old Minecraft Server. That is the Epic server. And we made a group chat called the Epic Group of Gamers because we all played on that server, and it was like we were just becoming a group because we'd hang out so much playing Minecraft. And then later we stopped playing Minecraft and evolved into other stuff, and we didn't play Minecraft again until around Jackal SMP, and then after Jackal it was Cake, and then now Coursion. So I brought some people from Cake back into my group, the Epic Group of Gamers, and over time we'd get back into Minecraft and stuff. And I went to the idea with Nether, and I have the screenshots from the day July 5th. Me and Nether talked about or we got into a call, and my server talked about making the SMP, and then he gave me the login to his server, which is like the console, and then we started making the server together, and we started grabbing people. So if you've seen Coursion and you've seen Cake and Jackal, which a lot of people haven't seen Jackal, but maybe Cake, you'll know that in Cake SMP, or I mean in Coursion SMP, there's a lot of people from Cake, which is the main crew. So you have like the people who are from Cake, and if you look at a first stream, that's people who are all sitting in that circle, you know? And then there's people who are already living in Fairview, and if you've seen Jackal SMP, you'll know those are all people from Jackal SMP. Vance, Davern, Casino, uh, who else? Amber. Well, Amber was in Cake, not on. Who else was in that first video that was in Jackal SMP? It doesn't matter either way. Point is, a lot of people from Jackal SMP were in the Epic Group of Gamers or joined the Epic Group of Gamers after Jackal SMP. So like Blue, Vance, they joined the Epic Group of Gamers after Jackal SMP, ended after a month or so. So when I was started doing Coursion, it was like my SMP, so I was like, oh, I'll have some people from Cake in it because I still talk to them and they're recent friends because there was like a 3 or 4 month period in between. No, wait, April, May, June, July. Yeah, so there was like 4 months or so between Cake and Coursion. So I was still actively talking to the Cake members, and obviously people from Jackal SP I've known for years. So I was like, I invited a lot of people from Cake back, and I said, oh, reprise your character from Cake, and then to fill up the rest of the cast, because, a lot of people from Cake were gone for drama reasons or just didn't want to come back to, another SMP with, us in it. We decided to fill the rest of the roles with people I knew or people other people knew. So we wound up I invited a lot of my friends, and I remember Maddie even made a comment because I gave Maddie co-owner because I felt bad that Cake ended really shittily because it was her SMP and she had a lot planned for it, and it really ended. And I kind of felt bad because it ended after I left. Even if I didn't want Cake SP to end, it ended when I did, when I left because everyone else left with me. So I gave Maddie co-owner role, which is one of the things that Maddie and Newt put in the document that was cleared up is that Maddie was not an owner of Coursion from the start. She was a co-owner. She never even made the name, the server, or anything. The only thing she's done is invited people to the SMP, which is one of the things that I was just about to talk about is when I was making the SMP, Maddie got pissed off that a lot of my friends were there. And I was like, yeah, well, yeah, it's my, it's kind of like, it's our SMP, but, you know, your friends are kind of the Cake people. So she did invite some other of her friends, which wound up leaving and causing drama before the SMP even started. There was at least 6 people banned before Coursion started in August. So from July 5th to August 2nd, there was 4 to 6 people banned in that span, which I've talked about before in the director's commentary on the Coursion Smp channel, which will be linked below. So a lot of those people that were invited were friends of Maddie. So I kind of made a point saying, oh, like my friends haven't caused shit since, the started, but your friends already been banned by everyone because drama. And I wasn't trying to rub it in her face or anything, but I was like, I think I know what I'm doing. And when we started doing Coursion in August, it went pretty good. As you guys saw, like the views in the beginning of Coursion did really good on my channel and like a lot of other people's channel. Like for people like Whisperwolf, Coursion is like his most viewed videos. And I think, for Nether, Justatica, I think that was the case too. And, same thing for like Roman and Coursion also got like Casino to make a video or two. And Davern was doing Berry World, but he was also helping out with Coursion when he could. And it just like, it was pretty good for a bit. The first couple months of Coursion were good. Obviously, there was the problem in September, or yeah, it was September or October, my computer broke down, which caused a problem, but it went good. October went by. There was a little bit of problems here and there, but for the most part, it was good. And then obviously, we had our first big drama in around November or December of 2021, or yeah, which was with Davern. Now, obviously, I've kind of like not talked about the whole Davern thing a lot, but I'm just gonna get into it now because me and Davern have, kind of not, I wouldn't say made up, but we're on better terms now. So, long story short, Davern, he was doing a lot of cinematic stuff for us in videos, but he had a lot of personal life stuff going on. and it was really stressful that he said now like he was making stuff for Coursion, but he should have been spending time with his family because some personal stuff had happened, and that he kind of felt obligated to show up because he'd been a longtime friend of mine. He kind of felt obligated to show up because he didn't want us holding us back because he was doing so much content for us. And I was like, I was kind of angry that we took one time we took 50 days to get a video out. And I was kind of pissed. I was like, it's been a month and a half and we haven't got this video out, and it's a 20-minute video. And, me and David tried so many things. We tried 3 different times to record it. I tried writing a script for the video for him and everything. And eventually I just, like, me and David got to a fight and I was like, whatever, fuck it. And we'll do it. And then, it wasn't as good as David's, but it was done. The video was good. It was done. And after that, I was just like, me and David kept butting heads back and forth until one day we're like, I just kind of like flipped out on David. He flipped out on me, and we kicked him out. And then we had a big meeting, and I was like, oh, did we kill off Davern's character and stuff? And people said, how about we just, let him leave for now, and then we'll talk to David eventually. And then after Davern left Coursion, and we just kind of make his character disappear for a bit, I know Casino, who had some close relationship with Davern. She was kind of upset that like Davern was gone, so she didn't really want to do much. So Casino stopped, cooperating as much with us, and we were like, okay. And then when that whole thing in around January happened with this was January 2022, by the way, with Z Guild, where we went into the base, and then they destroyed it afterwards. Then we told them that they couldn't do that because they have to tell us first, because we got to make some lore reason up for it. They, so they didn't have to make a lore reason up for it, and they were like, "Oh, why do you have to micromanage everything on here? Why can't people just do what they want to do?" To which, I guess, is kind of fair. But at the same time, this was my SMP. Maybe that wasn't, made out to them because a lot of people still thought Coursion was Maddie's, which obviously recently that was all cleared up. But if it wasn't obvious to the outsiders, the insiders at least knew that I was running the SP. Now, Zora and Chuck had only been there a few times, so maybe they weren't under that assumption, so I don't blame them for not thinking that. But yeah, I was kind of pissed they had done that because I was the main story writer, also the head of the SMP. I did all of the, everyone ran by the ideas by me, even if, like, even if you had an idea, the reason why I had people run it by me is because in early Coursion, I let people make whatever they wanted, and we had a lot of different complicated story. Characters got killed off, and people got married, and all this random shit happened. So I kind of have like take the reins a little bit and be like, okay, this is not good because a lot of people have this. There's a big split in the members of Coursion, the people between the people who have left, the people who are here, between what Coursion is. So people who are left, people say that Coursion's like a failed sequel to Cake and it wasn't fun and shit like that. But that's because they never realized that it wasn't supposed to be Cake. And I've always said that from the beginning of Coursion, that Coursion was going to be different. And I said Coursion wasn't like for fun. Like if people wanted a server to play on and goof around on, we had other servers people could do that on. Coursion was for content. It always has been. It was for me because I have minor success in YouTube. I didn't want me to have all of that. I wanted other people to have an upbringing with me. So I got all these content creators that I'm friends with because I wanted them to record on Coursion. Hopefully, if Coursion took off more, they would get some of the views that I was getting from Coursion around the time of the beginning of Coursion. Because back when I started Coursion, I was still getting hundreds of views and not 20 or 40. So obviously now it's different. But that was my idea. I wanted other people to succeed in how I had. Not everyone saw it that way, and there was obviously just a lot of miscommunication. And that's the big thing: is no one ever wanted to talk things out. People wanted to rush through things, and if they didn't rush through things, they weren't talking because they didn't care. So it just, end of the day, things would have been so simple if people who would have listened to some of the stuff I say. And I get it because I talk a lot. So maybe people wanted to tune out a lot of the stuff I said. But then, that's on you. It's not on me because everyone else understood. I've always said before, there's a reason why, Coursion still has almost 30 members, and there's only around 10 people gone, even less, I think. And that's because, it's not, you can't just say because majority people in Coursion have stayed, that means we're in the right. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if, I was some tyrant who rule everything with an iron fist, why would there be so many people here who are still happy to make urgent content? There's nothing keeping them here. They're not making revenue. I'm not forcing them at gunpoint. I don't have blackmail. They're here because they're still interested in Coursion because they like making Coursion. The people who left didn't like it because it wasn't cake. So that's really all there is to it. A lot of the people who have left were from cake. There were some people who were new to Coursion who have left. Which obviously because of the drama that makes sense. But a lot of people who have left Coursion were in Cake. They were Cake members at heart, and when Coursion was different, they kind of got upset and they blamed it on me or other people and stuff. And like I said, a little bit of communication would have solved that all. And it sucks now because now there really isn't a solution now because it's all happened. But back to what I was saying. um, they left. Z Guild left, and then we got back on contact with David, and David, didn't want to come back to the SMP. So, and this was something I talked with David that I felt really shitty about. At the time, I didn't really take anything in effort. I was like, okay, so David doesn't want to come back to the main SMP, so what if I have David come back and some other thing? And I threw some idea at David that was like a Coursion prequel series called Coursion Origins, and it was going to be like, what happened in Fairview before the Cake SMP members got there. And I kind of just threw that on David, and I said, okay, David, you didn't like how I ran things before, so here's my idea. I'll write the story for you, and you have charge of, who's the cast and who's the crew, and, you have charge of a lot of story elements, and, whether you're playing on vanilla or modded, you will take care of, Coursion Origins. Will you want it to be cinematic or half cinematic or fully, vanilla Minecraft? And I kind of threw that to David because my thought was, oh, the problem was that I was being, a bad owner. So I was like, I'll let David own this project and I'll just kind of have a helping hand. But I still didn't realize that was the problem. The problem was that I was still forcing so much work on David. So I've really apologized to him recently. And I'm saying this again in case he sees this, that I'm still sorry about that, David. I know I told it to you recently, but you know, words don't mean everything. So I feel like by showing you how many times I can say it, hopefully it'll have a bigger meaning than me just saying it once. Which I doubt that'll work, but I make it hope. But either way, David, didn't wind up doing the prequel. So I told him, all right, that's it. I got nothing else to say. We stopped talking for a bit. We didn't talk for a couple few months, and after that, there was no more Coursion stuff that went that went on. So, that was like what happened. And then, in terms of Z Guild, after the base thing happened and we had that big fight, they left. And then after a while, I started talking to them again, and I invited them back to Coursion. And I think me and Chuck talked a little bit about Coursion ideas, but it didn't go anywhere. And after a while, I just kind of felt like there was no reason to, you know, keep a connection with them because nothing was going anywhere. So I kind of jumped the gun a little bit and just kicked them. And because of that, they mentioned their doc, they, fucking, you know, grief the server even if we had backups, which we never talked about because we didn't want it to be a problem more than it already was. So that's why you guys never heard about the griefs. There was at least three or four. I don't know if all of them was one because I'm pretty sure one of them was just some people leaked the IP and these guys, like random people found it and raided the servers. We don't think they were Chuck and Zora because there was like four of them and they weren't talking like Chuck and Zora because they. But yeah, so we repaired the servers and we never really brought up the griefs because we didn't want it to be a huge problem. We thought if we brought that up, then it would just become a huge problem. But I don't know why I repeated that sentence. Sorry. We thought if we brought it up, then it, like I said, to become a problem. So we didn't want that problem. We just wanted to keep doing Coursion without having more problems. And we just thought to ourselves, if things ever come back up with them, then we'll talk about it. Which obviously they talked about it before we did, which is, pretty respectable of them to mention that. Not every, people would mention how they grief the server, even if it is really immature. And either way. Uh, so after that point, Coursion was still doing all right. We started doing season two. And then in the summertime of 2022, there was some minor fight between me and Wolf, which was mentioned in Newt Stock. And it's the stupidest thing ever. Basically, I was over his house and I made French fries, and he told me what to put them in for in the air fryer. And they came out burnt, and I was making fun of Phil saying he didn't know how to cook fries. And he was telling me, oh no, the fries are supposed to look like that. And we just got into some big argument. I was saying fries are supposed to look golden, and Phil's like, no, they're supposed to be like crispier and brownish. So we just got into a fight over that. And fast forward like a week later, we were doing Coursion SP. We were doing the I don't know, was that it? It was like the season B 1A finale, which is now the Other World because there was supposed to be two more videos that came after the Other World. Which, if you don't remember now, the Other World was the one where we went to the Nether finally for the first time. There was gonna be two more after that that involved Kitty, which I'll get to that in a minute. Either way, we were recording the episode. Actually, no, I'll get to it now because we're about to talk about it. So we were recording the episode where Kitty was going to come back. So if you remember, there was like an idea we had at the beginning that encouraged you to have three lives. So if Casino's lost one or two, this is that. Which I think as of right now, that idea is kind of gone. There's no really three life idea anymore. Um, and we'll just say it's changed. So any three life stuff that happened at the beginning of the SMP is just we could say that's like a fluke, and we'll just retcon the timeline a little bit. So either way, back then we were like, okay, well, there's a three life idea. So Kitty, when she died, she only lost her first life, so she'd come back as her second life. And we were like, oh, that's a great idea. Uh, so Kitty was on board with that because Kitty had to come back during the time after she left, which she left at some random point. I don't know if you guys ever noticed, but Kitty wasn't really ever in a lot of streams and videos of Coursion, but she's in a few. So if you guys ever saw that Kitty was there and then all of a sudden she was gone, it was because there was some problems and she left Coursion and she came back. Which I think the problem was it was the same problem with I forgot to mention earlier. So one of the reasons when I was like when me and David first started our argument in October, November of 2021, one of the reasons why there was a disconnect between David, besides the fact that I was like, kind of bossing him around a little bit, was also because around that time, I was a part of another SMP in the summer called Omega SMP, and I had left the SMP, and then in October, November, I like replied to a tweet of theirs making a joke saying like, "Oh, you guys are still around. That's cool." Or not a joke. It was like I was surprised they were still going because I had heard from one of the members that Omega SMP was over, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. So I was like, "Oh, it's not over." And I was like, oh, so you guys are still kicking around, huh? And I guess it came out wrong because one of the members thought I was insulting them. And they said that, like, oh, you wouldn't know because you're a racist and you got kicked from the server. And I was like, what are you talking about? And basically, long story short, I made a really bad joke. And, it wasn't my joke. It was a copy joke from a Swagger Souls video. So I'm not taking, credit for the joke here, sadly. I'm kidding. But basically the joke was really stupid, and it involved a very nasty word, and you know I thought it was kind of funny because they had shown some dark humor in that server, so I did a little dark humor, but apparently someone or people there they don't like dark humor, so that person showed me saying the bad joke. And I was like, oh, that joke's actually kind of funny, and I was like, this thing, I wasn't thinking much of it because I was like, oh, it's just a dark humor, it's stupid, it's the joke was bad, but it got bigger than that, and people just started ragging on me, and it became some big thing, and by accident, Barry World got dragged into it because Maddie at the time had logged in, or she had been like one-to-one managing the Coursion SP Twitter, and apparently we had the same bio, or as like Barry World or something, I think, or a Mega SP, I forget who. But I don't know. Someone was saying we had like the same bio as someone, or I think we had the same bio as a Mega SP on our Coursion SP Twitter. Some people were like, oh, every masterpiece is a cheat copy, and basically they were calling Coursion ripoff of a Mega SP, which not true. Obviously, if you've seen Coursion, you've seen Omega Speed, they're two completely different things. And if you know me for a while, you know that I had the idea of what Coursion was before Omega SP was, because, Cake and Jackal SMP. But either way, I was like, you know what, it's whatever. And I was like, Maddie, did you copy the fucking Twitter bio from Omega SP? And she was like, no, I got it from Berry World. And I was like, oh no, Maddie didn't copy from you. She copied from Berry World apparently. So can you get off our backs? And then Berry World apparently that was wrong because if you go to Berry World's Twitter, apparently that wasn't the bio. So Maddie was just lying out of her ass. So then Berry World got dragged into it. And I know David, he works like PR for them. And I know David saw that we mentioned them on Twitter, and they were suddenly dragged into this drama between this really bad joke and my group and then Mega SMP and now Berry World was in there. So, David was working in Berry World and Incursion, so he kind of got dragged into that. And he's like, god damn it. Because now, people were questioning David because he's been with my friends before he was in Berry World. They're like, oh, why is he racist? And this and that. So just became this big thing. And at the end of the day, I'm just going to clear it up. I'm not racist or anything. Not gonna like pull the I've had black friends, black card or anything like that. I'm just not racist. I don't have no reason to be. I think anyone who knows me knows I'm not racist. So that whole situation was just me making a really bad joke, and I like I said I've apologized for anyone I've offended with a joke, and I actually in the tweet I said where I apologize. I say the same thing now. I apologize to anyone I offended with that joke, but I do not apologize to Mega SMP because they were dicks about it. Not only did they, like they could have just given me shit about making the bad joke, but they also ragged on my friends and my SMP for no reason other than just to fulfill their egos. So they were dicks, and that's the end of it. And I still stick by that to the day. So during that time, that obviously had an effect on David and Kitty and stuff because they were working in Berry World, so they kind of had a disconnect. So that's one of the reasons why David and Kitty weren't really around for a period of time. So obviously, summer of 2022 was a long time between, October, November of 2021. So Kitty came back. We started working again. So we were doing the video where she was going to come back. And Phil was like joking around calling me a retard, which sorry if I use that word, the R word. I don't, I'll just say that. And we were just joking around in between each other, and it started to get a little annoying. So I said, "Oh, I may be a retard, but you can't even make fries correctly." And that got Phil pissed. So me and Phil started arguing back and forth about how fries are supposed to be made. So we were just yelling at each other in this call with everyone about fries and shit. And it got to the point where like it transcended beyond fries because then Maddie had joined in and she was calling me stupid, and then Roman told everyone to shut up and shit. And we wanted to just get into a scream match. It got beyond fries, and we were just cursing at each other at this point. And I was like, fuck you! And I fucking left the SMP, or not the SMP, I left the call. And then I was like texting, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking ban Phil. He's a fucking, he's a cunt and shit, and he's mad annoying, and this and that. Uh, or I said he was like a retard or something. But either way, I was just pissed off because me and Phil had just gotten into some fucking stupid argument. And that was it. After that, I think, like, then the Newt screenshot, Maddie texted me, and she was like, oh, is over a toaster, this and that, which Maddie, of course, didn't know what was going on, decided to, like, when anytime, if you guys have seen this stuff that's happened on Twitter at any time, you'll know that whenever I, get into some sort of trouble, Maddie likes to jump into the argument, and it's the same thing here. She wanted to jump into the argument because Maddie likes drama. So fucking I got pissed off and I was like, why the fuck is Maddie getting in on me and Phil's argument? So I was like, I'm not doing this shit. So I kicked Phil and Maddie from my servers for a bit, and I stepped down from Coursion because it was like, not only was it that, but it was also like with some of the members, I started getting pissed off because people started like giving me shit. Um, or not giving me shit, but like during that, people were pissed that I had left or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, because you guys can't do anything if I leave for like 5 minutes. And they're like, yeah, well, you kind of fucking, taking all the shit we can do. And I was like, yeah, it's only because no one else wants to do it. So I was like, you know what? I'm leaving, Coursion. You guys figure out how to do Coursion on your own. I made a video about it, and that was it. And then a couple weeks went by. Me and Phil talked. We made up. We thought it was stupid anyways. We went out. We got KFC. We laughed about it. We went home. That was the end of it. That was like 4 or 5 days after we got into the argument. I sit down for Coursion. that me and Phil went out, got KFC, and made up. Because we've been friends since sixth grade, so stupid fight over fries. It got a little bigger for us, but it was a normal fight for us, which to other people might have been like, look, we hated each other, but it's just me and Phil like to fucking bust each other's balls, and it like got out of hand, you know? So I was like, okay, with the whole S&P thing, I sat down with Phil, and I know me and Phil had a couple meetups in this time, and I was like, I don't know what to do, man. I feel like, there's so much I want to do with Coursion, and I feel like there's not anything I can do. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, because I've left, and I was like, no one's done anything since I've gone. Like, if I'm not there to help everyone with Coursion, then nothing happens. And he's like, yeah, that's fair. And I was like, but I don't want it to be that way. I never wanted it to. Obviously in the beginning of Coursion, I had to take a little bit, of the reins because people were just not communicating with each other. And I was the one who was willing to piece everything together that people wanted to do. So eventually, I was like, Phil, I was like, I want to keep doing Coursion. I'm going to come back and we're going to figure it out. We're going to start writing stuff and try to figure it out. And we had already been writing season two and stuff. So, I came back to Coursion. I, deleted my step down videos and stuff like that. I don't know if I deleted my tweets, whatever, but I started talking about doing Coursion again. This was around like August. We were talking about it. And then I was like, if we're gonna keep doing Coursion, it can't just be me doing the whole story. I need you guys to step in and help up. And I know Roman and Nether really stepped in and helped around that time. Um, and then obviously in August there was the whole drama with like Maddie and everything, and which now you guys know. We found out to explain what the drama was because not a lot of people know. Here's the full story. Maddie had been kicked since around July or June from the group chat, the Epic group chat. And she'd really been annoying me. Like every day she would text me asking to join back. And I think I was trying to teach her that, you know, like asking doesn't get you. I was trying to being a dick. I was trying to teach her a lesson that, like she needed to give people space, and she wasn't. And I was still kind of annoyed how Maddie had been like acting towards me before, I stepped down and then came back. And now that I had came back, it just seemed like she was being like a lot more hostile towards me. So I just told her, I was like, Maddie, you're really fucking annoying me. You text me all the time. I'm not letting you back in the group. Okay? Can you please give it time, please? Like I'm going through shit, and you pester me every day. If you got nothing important to say, if you got something important to say, say it. But if you don't, stop texting me every day. You have other friends. I'm not your only friend. Which obviously knew said that in the doc, and it made me look like a dick. But without context, it makes you look like a dick. But with more context, Maddie was basically harassing me, not only on Discord, but like fucking Messenger and TikTok and stuff. So it just got really annoying and overwhelming. So one day Maddie joins the VC, and she starts really pissing me off. So I kicked her from the VC, and she like made a big, or I kicked her from the server for a minute because she was really annoying me. She made a big fuss out of it. She went to go tell Phil, which in case I forgot to mention, Phil and Maddie were dating from the beginning of Coursion until around this point. So it's been it was a year of them dating. She goes to Phil and she tells him, oh, Jackal kicked me from the server. Can you go talk to him? So fucking Phil comes in. He's like, oh, why'd you kick her? I explained to Phil that was really annoying us, harassing us, and yelling at us. And he's like, okay, I get it, man. I'll just go tell her that, you're not letting her back in. And I was like, all right, thank you for understanding, Phil. Phil goes tell her that. Maddie gets pissed. So she starts messaging other people on the server, anyone she has mutual friends with me, to let her back to the Discord server. So I was like, what the fuck is her deal? But I was like, this is not a big deal. Like, I was going to invite her back in like an hour, and she had made it such a big deal that she was kicked from the server. So I was like, okay, now I'm not inviting her back. She's going to text people she doesn't know that she's never talked to before just to get back into my Discord server because it just seems so desperate and clingy. So I was like, no, I'm not doing this. So she was texting me a bunch of shit, and she was like, oh, you've always hated me and this, and that. And I was like, man, I don't fucking hate you. I'm just fucking chilling, dude. Can you leave me alone? Like, I'm trying to have my thing and play video games. And fucking so like Phil saying Maddie's really pissed him off. Phil was at work at the time. He had left for work. So Phil's like, Maddie's really fucking pissed me off. And now, blank and blank, which you can't mention them, is telling me that Maddie's was flirting with him. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, in your friend's server, which I'm not gonna mention the friend, people, Maddie was flirting with people in the VCs, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, isn't that server? Isn't most people there under the age of 18? Because Maddie was like 18 or 19 at the time, and he was like, I don't know, it's like I'm trying to figure it out, but I'm also at work. And I was like, oh, cool. Then someone else stepped up and was like, oh yeah, I also know something too that you guys should know. And this was the person who was a member of Persian who was a victim of Maddie's. They stepped up and told us, and we thought it was gross because they mentioned how when they joined, it was made known because we talked about it before in VC that they were the youngest. They were 15. They were like one of the youngest members. We always talked about like, oh, blank and blank's the youngest, and it's just that. And so Maddie was aware of this. This person wasn't aware of Maddie's age or that Maddie was dating Phil when they joined, and they kind of like had some conversations between them. They found out Maddie was 19 or whatever, and they immediately stopped talking to her and they wanted deleting their messages. Newt talked about this in their doc. And we were like, what the fuck, dude? Maddie, like that, she knows you're a minor. He's like, they're like, he's like, yeah, I know. So we were like, oh, okay, this gives us a reason to fucking ban her now. Because, like, not only was she being a dick before, now she's a pedophile. And then it came out after there was even more allegations and stuff. So we were like, okay. So Maddie, we said, like, basically we just made it seem like we weren't mad at Maddie. We're like, oh yeah, things are over. We'll invite you back tomorrow or whatever. And then at like 3 in the morning when she was asleep, everyone all unfriended her, kicked her from every server, everything, took down all her shit on our channels, and we kicked her. And she freaked out, started texting everyone. So we made announcements in our server, and we even went into her server and posted it saying she was pedophile. And we told her if she didn't leave us the fuck alone, that we were going to bring it to Twitter and YouTube and everything. So she brought someone in to try to talk to us, this guy named Adam, and we didn't bring up the pedophile stuff in front of Adam, but we told him why we didn't want to talk to her. And he was like, just leave him alone, Maddie. And she was like, okay. Which she didn't leave us alone, which will lead up to now. So that was back in August. Now it is April. So recently, in March, Maddie went to Newt with drama trying to, cancel us and shit. Or cancel me, not everyone, but she was trying to cancel me because she still had a grudge for me kicking her out of everything and making her lose a lot of friends. And when Newt came to me with all that, I was like, yeah, I've been a dick. I apologize for everything, but, why are you taking Maddie's side? Why would you be on the side of a pedophile willingly? And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh, I'm saying, the reason that Maddie was kicked and why she's so butthurt and she had to make this doc saying that we did all this shit to her was because we kicked her because she was a pedophile. And it was like, what the fuck? So I was like, yeah. So me and Newt started working together. I got all the evidence from everyone I could. I sent it to Newt. Newt did a couple calls with people, and it came out. Maddie was a pedophile, and that's why we had kicked her. That's why, she was gone. And yeah, so that's that. So in between the time of July, when I stepped down from the SP, and I then came back, we started working on the SP more. And if you saw, there was that video that came out recently that was like a couple months old. I think it was in January. Um, we came back. We decided to come off our hiatus from Coursion. We made that video. I rewrote all of season 2, and I remade season 3. Which, by the way, there will be a season 3, and the season 2 will be finished. I'll get to that for a minute. Either way, we made the season 2. We made our comeback. We made season 2 part B, and we also did something else cool that I really want to show, and I'm really waiting for right now. And we were like, oh, let's everyone kind of agreed that even though Coursion's been a hot mess from, beginning to end, which it hasn't ended yet, but, hopefully it's not a hot mess. Coursion has been a hot mess from beginning to present. Everyone still wanted to finish it because Coursion has meant a lot to us. It's the biggest project I've ever, been actively or okay, not the biggest project I'm doing actively, but it's the biggest project that's reached the surface that I'm in actively. Like Jackal SMP was only a month, KSP was like 4 months, and a bunch of other stuff I've done over the years barely even lasted over a month too. So, like, I was so happy to have Coursion because Coursion's almost 2 years old now. In August it'll be 2 years, and we're still doing it, even though it's been a mess and we've taken a couple hiatuses and shit. It's still going to be finished. And I promise you, if you stick around, And if you watch it, you'll see that Coursion is going. It's gonna get so much better. We have so much shit planned. Like I said, we've planned the rest of season 2 and season 3, which I'll get into real quick. Obviously, if you've seen the end or the new episode of season 2, which is spoiler alert, go watch it now. I'll give you 5 seconds. Okay, there you go. You can probably just watch the video and came back, or you didn't. Um, Maddie, we killed off Maddie because everything, which is it's even good that we even gave her a proper death, considering all she's done. Um, yeah, we killed off Maddie, and Adam and Wolf left the village, and they've been gone for 8 months, which is around the time our hiatus take two. So they're coming back now to Coursion, very different. Which a little sneak peek here of Luigi's Place. You'll see that Coursion's kind of been fucked over, and yeah, so there's been a lot of changes to to the map since you guys have been gone. I'm not gonna spoil anything more that we haven't seen. I think you guys got some of it in the video, so I'm just gonna let you guys see real quick. Don't mind the giant cathedral thing on top of the bodega or the temple. But yeah, so we're preparing for the rest of season 2. Uh, and in the video, you'll see they've been gone for around 8 months. So a lot's happened to Coursion in the last 8 months, both literally and figuratively. So season 2 will finish, and we already have it written. It's all planned out, and even if some of the people leave now, the people who won't leave, we don't need. We might need a couple extras. We still have some people that are like sitting on the back burner, but we could finish the SMP with everyone we have right now, which is good to hear. We might take a little more people up, so we'll see about that. But season 2 will finish. To give a little sneak peek of the story, Adam and Wolf have been gone for 8 months. They're coming back to see the village, all in disrepair and stuff, and they're going to have to see what's happened to the villagers, to Fairview while it's gone. And I think the part B of season 2 will be about as long as the beginning of season 2 was, so around like 17 episodes or so, or like 12 to 17, I don't know. But it's gonna be around like 30 something episodes by the end of season 2. Season 3 is only gonna be 5 to 6 episodes. Basically, our idea for season 3, it's basically gonna be like one big 40-minute episode from each like main I don't know, character member. It's gonna go. I think it's gonna go like Vance is gonna get one big 40-minute episode, then like Roman, Wolf, Nether, and then me and Will. And obviously, I think I will be the last episode. But it will just they'll all connect. It'll just be like every character like has had some like big plot line. Obviously, if you've seen the new episode, which we already had the spoilers, people here now have already seen the first episode. The whole like Matt, Adam killed, got Maddie killed and shit, which was my idea. Thank you, thank you. Um, you like know that there's like the assassin guild and stuff, and there's all these like ties that are kind of loose right now with like, Wolf doesn't know that Adam killed Maddie, and Adam's kind of going insane, and like, you know, there's some stuff I just can't say yet, but it'll be great. It'll be good. There's also the relationship between like Vance and Adam. That Adam's been gone for 8 months, so how is Vance gonna react to the guy he was like had in a relationship with being gone for so long without saying anything to him, and Roman was dealing with like those premonitions and shit in his videos before we went on hiatus and stuff. So when we come back, there's gonna be a lot of like ties that are gonna be loose that are gonna start coming together. We like because I actually did this thing recently back in January when we were preparing to come back for season 2B, where I rewatched all of Coursion, took notes on my notebook of shit to bring back into play, to use for foreshadowing. So if there's any events that happened in the past, I was like, oh, we could do something now that would tie back into that. Did a bunch of that. Me and Phil and everyone else, I basically did a whole Coursion binge for like a few days straight, and was writing down stuff the whole time. So I think what we have is gonna be pretty good. Let's get some good water. So here's the Coursion Season 2B. When will it happen? I don't know. I think something I said on Twitter may correlate to this, but we're gonna have to see because there's no definites yet. But Coursion will finish, and I can almost, by the way, because obviously I talk all the time about coming back and doing shit, and I always promise it, and I don't want to overpromise here, but I can almost, and I say emphasis on almost, promise that Coursion will be over, or at least be in the end game by the end of this year. So this is the last year for Coursion. There is no going to be Coursion in 2024 or 2025. Hopefully, to God, Coursion will be over in 2023. So that's the big news. That's why, I made this 50-minute video to just go over all the drama in the past 2 years, but to also tell you that it's not over, and I still look forward to something with all the negative shit that's passed. So if you still want to see Coursion finished, then go in the description, subscribe to the Coursion channel. That's going to be at the top. And then if you haven't seen Coursion, this is your first time, and you just skipped to the end of the video, or you've been listening to you've been tuning in and out for the last 50 minutes or so, or last hour. Yeah. Then there's going to be the playlist in the description. So go do that. And when you subscribe to the Coursion channel, go to the channel section. Go subscribe to everyone else. Go check out their videos. All right. That's it. It's been way too fucking long that I haven't made this video. So everything's out there. If I forgot anything, I'll just fucking throw it in to some fucking Twitter posts. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's somewhere on my channel. You can find it, and you can see all the shit I talk about. Some of it's really fucking important, like how good of a game Borderlands 2 is, and then some of it's Twitter drama. So thank you all for watching. You don't gotta like, subscribe, and comment. Like I said, just go check out the Coursion, go check out the members, go check out the playlist. That's all I ask you to do. And I will see you guys very soon. Very, very soon.